Hey everyone, welcome to the behind the scenes of a legacy video session. I hope everybody's had fun. I hope you guys went to lots of sessions yesterday. I know we're sort of coming up on the tail end here of Vision, but I hope you've had an awesome time, really been able to be intentional with your families. I've been going to every single session that I possibly can, but obviously this is the one that I'm most excited about. Where we get to talk about legacy videos. I just should lead off with first that I know everybody probably has different experience or maybe doesn't even know what legacy video is with Inheritance of Hope or has made one before. But I'll lead off with saying that at Inheritance of Hope, all of us, my belief, but obviously all of us believe that everyone should make a legacy video. If you had a chance to go to any of the other sessions this week, and in particular, Jill's session, Jill Thompson's session, Miss Freddie's or Rachel's session, all sessions that were really focused on digital ways to preserve memories. That's what legacy videos are about. And those are legacy videos. When you record a video on your own, talking about whatever, talking to someone specifically, or just capturing a moment, that is a legacy video. We do have a specific legacy video process of how we make a legacy video. But again, the idea here is that everybody should do this and it's accessible. There's no reason that you can't do it in your own house with your own things, your own phone and computer. But again, we do have a really specific process, which is what this session here is focused on, is the Inheritance of Hope legacy video process and the Inheritance of Hope legacy video that everybody is welcome to make. So of course you can make your own legacy videos, but everybody's also welcome to make a legacy video with Inheritance of Hope. And I'm going to share with you that process and some of the ways that we have defined this process to try and make it as special as it can be, and also make you feel comfortable and confident in doing this with us. So to dive in, I will share a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. Like I said before, this is really going to be detailing this process, but I'm not going to get too into the weeds of the more boring technical things. I really want you to be able to see even what a legacy video can be or what it can look like. And this is something that when I was thinking about this session, it occurred to me that it would be really special if I was able to share existing legacy videos. And there was I put a lot of thought into that and how I could maybe do that. And I am going to do that today, share some legacy videos. These are only staff members' legacy videos, including my own, that I have talked to ahead of time, and all staff members who have seen the portions that are being shared today and approved it and are okay with it. Obviously, a legacy video is something extremely personal and can be extremely private, and we honor that every step of the way. Every single legacy video you record with Inheritance of Hope is stored in one place, password protected, and only shared with the individual who made the video or anyone that they choose to share that with. So again, I just want to emphasize that this is the first time that anybody will be watching anybody else's legacy video, but these specific portions of legacy videos of some of our staff members, these people, myself included, felt like sharing these little pieces of our own video could be something that would help and encourage other people in the making of their legacy video, or even just help them in feeling like they can do it and getting an idea of what it might look like in their own head. So that's why we're doing that today. That's why our other staff members agreed to this, and I'm so thankful that they did. Again, if you guys have any questions or any comments, which I've already seen some stuff in the chat, but as always, I know everybody says this in every session, but stay engaged in the chat, throw questions in there, throw comments in there. If I can't answer, if I don't answer, just because as I'm talking, somebody will answer, somebody will get to your question. If they don't have an answer for you, they'll find you an answer. But it's also just nice to stay engaged and see stuff in the chat. So keep doing that like you've been doing all weekend for this session. So now I'll just dive in. I'm going to dive in, and before we get anywhere else, I'm just going to quickly share the way it starts when you sign up, the way our process sort of starts when you sign up to do a legacy video with Inheritance of Hope. Once you complete the online registration to do a legacy video with us, which I will share the form, or will be shared right now, the form to complete a legacy video, and then we'll share it again at the end so that, hopefully you'll want to make a legacy video after this session with us. Once that form comes in that you've registered to do that, the next step is that one of our legacy video coaches will send you an email to set up a time to meet, set up an hour to meet, and we'll also send you in their email a legacy video worksheet and sample legacy video questions in their email. A quick thing about our legacy video coaches, we have 10 legacy video coaches, and every single one of these coaches has gone through an amazing training program that was written actually primarily by Jill Thompson, because Jill Thompson was, the point person on legacy videos for years and years and years. So I'm really just taking over kind of more recently, but an amazing training. All of these coaches have done that. And they also have tons of experience in making actual legacy videos. They've done this for many, many families, individuals who are not necessarily a family that we're serving and just signed up to do this, like you can do also. So when you get that email, they are looking to set up an hour of time for you guys to sit down on Zoom and record your video. Our legacy videos we always aim for it to be under 30 minutes, start to finish, of the final product. We set aside an hour because it gives you time both on the front end and the back end to be able to talk through some things in the beginning, maybe lay out a little bit of a game plan, or even just tell your coach what your game plan is, or talk through what you might want to do with them. And then on the back end, obviously, for them to share a little bit of what's going to happen now that the video has been recorded. So again, as I mentioned, the worksheet and the sample questions, I have heard from people, sometimes they see the worksheet or the sample questions and they feel overwhelmed because they signed up for a legacy video just thinking, I want to do this, but I have no idea what I want to do or how I want to do it. And then they see the questions and there's all these questions and they're like, I'm just more overwhelmed now. The worksheet and the questions are there to get your wheels turning. If you look at them and you're like, this is too much, I can't even think of anything, even looking at this is making me more overwhelmed. The beauty of that is that's not at all a barrier. Not knowing what to talk about in a legacy video with Inheritance of Hope, when you sign up to do it with Inheritance of Hope, is not a barrier because of the coaches. The coaches have dealt with that time and time again, where somebody comes in and they just say, I don't know what to do, including myself. When I made my legacy video, I told my coach, I said, I really don't know what I want to talk about. And she took over right there and I made an awesome legacy video. So that's not a barrier. Don't worry about that. And don't be overwhelmed by the worksheet or the questions if you don't find them helpful, but hopefully you will. And then your coach can help you sort of talk through a game plan before you guys start recording. So now that I've sort of given you the beginning stages, when you receive that email and you set up the time and you see the worksheet and you connect with your coach, this is where I want to share the first segment from a legacy video that I have set aside to share with you guys. This is a short segment. It's actually the very beginning of Jill Thompson's legacy video. Jill Thompson, when I say her legacy video, she has many, many legacy videos. Jill Thompson certainly lives the everyone should make a legacy video life. And this is one of those videos. Again, a video that she has agreed to share portions of here today. So this is the very beginning of her video. You'll see how the video starts, and then she goes right into answering a question that was asked of her by her coach. But in this video, you don't even hear the coach speak. It was actually me who was the coach in this video, but you don't even hear me speak. It's been edited out. So you only hear Jill begin speaking. Jill speaks directly to her children. And so I'm going to show that now, and hopefully you enjoy, and it gives you an idea of how you can start one of these videos, especially if you're a parent.
Hi guys, it's Mom. I am very excited to be making this legacy video. It is March of 2021, and this is just a fun thing that I get to capture some of my thoughts and ideas. So I am excited to share with you guys when I found out I was expecting each of you. And I'll go in order. For sure, Liz, you were the first. And it's hard to believe that it's almost 20 years ago. But Dad and I were living in Germany, and we were very excited about starting our family. And we had been trying to get pregnant for about 6 months. And I thought it would be a lot easier, and it just kept not happening. And so I was feeling a little down. And then Aunt Judy was coming to visit, and she had Kaylee, who was like 2 at the time. And they flew over all the way from America to Germany. And I was so excited for them to be visiting because I had really missed my sister and my new niece. And so they got there after their long flight, and we drove them to our house in Germany. And I was like realizing that I was a little bit late with my cycle. And I thought, I wonder if it was just the excitement of Aunt Judy coming. And so I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive, and we were so happy. And it was especially exciting because Aunt Judy was there to celebrate with me. And we were just so really excited. And she had just found out she was expecting Ashton. So she was also pregnant. And we obviously know that you and Ashton are really, really close in age. So that was really big news. And I'll never forget when Dad and I went to the Army hospital and got our first ultrasound. And Dad was convinced we were having a boy because it's all boys on his side of the family. There are no girls at all. And when they told us that it was definitely a girl, he was just totally shocked. He could not even believe that we were going to have a girl. I remember walking home from the Army hospital to our house. It was just like around the corner, and we were walking, and he was like, I cannot believe we're having a girl. He said it like 14 times. I cannot believe we're having a girl. And I'm just so glad that we had a girl, because you are the best firstborn child. Yeah, I can go on and on, but we just love you so much. And for sure, your name fits you, Elizabeth Joy. You are just like the greatest package of joy. And so that's really cool. And then we moved to West Point. Obviously, I was pregnant like halfway through the pregnancy. And so you were born at West Point, which is where Dad and I got engaged, and where I met Miss Kristen. And our lives there were just so good. You were born just after September 11th. So it was kind of a weird time, but you were just such a beautiful spark of joy in our life. And then fast forward 2 years, we were still living at West Point. And I remember it was Mother's Day of 2003. And actually, Miss Kristen and Ashley Luke, she was pregnant with Becca, they were over at our house, and we were having like Mother's Day lunch. And I took a pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant with Kale. And it was such a good, I mean, it was so cool. Again, I had like one of my best sister friends with me to celebrate. It wasn't Aunt Judy, but it was Miss Kristen. And that was just so sweet to be excited about another baby. And we found out a little bit later that it's a boy. And that was really exciting too, just to know we were having a girl and a boy. And Kale, you for sure just made our family so much more complete. Liz was excited to welcome a baby brother, but what was ironic is when you came out, you were about the same size as her. So at age 2, she weighed barely 20 pounds, and at birth, you were 10 pounds. So you were just like such a big baby. And I'll never forget, we moved to Minnesota when I was pregnant with you, and I started having really bad pain right when we moved there, like 2 weeks or maybe a week. And I didn't know anybody yet, and we didn't have any friends yet. And Dad and I shared one car, so he would take the bus to Mayo Clinic every day. And it ended up like I had to go into the hospital, the emergency room, and so we had to leave our toddler Liz with a neighbor who we had just met, and ended up I had a kidney stone because this giant baby was just like pressing on my kidney and causing this infection. And I ended up having to be in the hospital for a couple of days. But as you grew even bigger and bigger, it was like you just sucked the life, not the life out of me, but all of the cells went into making you. And I became like this skinny little twig. My arms were skinny, my face was like sunken in, And I was just so tiny, but this humongous belly. And everybody would look at me and like, that belly is just, it was very odd looking because I just was so tiny. And then this belly. And so when you came out and you were 10 pounds, it was clear. Well, that's why. And this full head of hair, and you looked like a grown man. I gave birth to a toddler practically. And that was really fun, just to welcome you into the family.
All right, so that's the beginning of one of Jill Thompson's legacy videos. And again, I mean, I'm so thankful, even just sitting here and watching these, I have to say I'm so thankful that I get to share some pieces of these videos today. There are a few things I want to highlight specifically in that little section of Jill's video. First of all, that was the very beginning. So you see how these videos, at least the ones that we make, intro in. And then one of the really key things there is that Jill speaks directly to her kids. And this is what we always recommend for anybody making a legacy video, is that you speak directly to whoever might be watching it. That, you know, that could be kids, that could be a spouse, that could be other relatives, that could be friends. Just speaking directly as if you're talking in conversation with the person, it makes the video so much better, so much more personal. So you see her do that in her video, talking directly to Liz. She's answering a question that she was asked. Jill was asked, tell the story of when you found out you were expecting each of your kids. So she starts off, you don't hear me ask that question because that's been edited out, but we are having a conversation. She knows though that she's recording the video for her kids and for her family. So she speaks directly to her kids there, Liz and Kale. And Jill does have two more kids, two more adopted kids, who actually you'll hear a little bit about later when I shared a different part of her video. So she answers that question for all four of them. I just shared the first two there to give you an idea. That story that she shares, those questions are really designed to be questions that I think almost any child would love to hear that answer, the answer to when you found out you were expecting me, from their kids. So that question is on the sample question sheet, but that's just one of those questions where like all she does is sit down, start talking, and talking directly to her kids to share that story. Maybe that's a story, if you have kids, you've already told them, but to sit down and share that directly, and something that they'll can have forever, is really special. And I can say that almost everybody I've ever met would love to hear that story from their parents. So that's a great example of a question that you might answer. Now, the next thing I want to show, and one other thing I want to address is, we always get the question of, should I talk to one kid first and then the next kid, or should I talk to my spouse and then my children, or do individual members of the family? You can absolutely do that. Usually when you make a video with us, we try to do it all in one video, so that for a lot of different reasons, I think that it is more compelling. It does feel like a nice, clean, put together piece that's you can have a nice long thing. There are sometimes pieces where maybe you only want to share with a certain individual. Our recommendation is then just do another video, do a whole nother legacy video for that individual if you want to do. And if you want it to be a shorter one, you can do it even shorter, like a 10-minute video. But that's a question that we get a lot. So there's a little bit on that. You can see throughout that video, Jill talks to Adam, her husband, specifically in that video too. And again, that's all in the same video there. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm going to show another segment. This segment is from Dylan Paget, who is on our staff as well. And Dylan is the reason I'm happy to show this video in particular, is because the next thing is, well, if you don't have kids, I don't have kids, or if you don't have someone, I guess, specifically that you'd want to share the video with, even if that's a significant other, a spouse. Dylan, when he made this video, he even says at the beginning of the video, I'm not sure who this is going to be shared with. I wanted to do this. And then when he begins talking, he sort of does the way we see these legacy videos, is a snapshot in time. And that's what he does. He gives a snapshot of his life in time. and does a few cool things that I think more ideas for you, for anybody watching, that anybody could do this. But hopefully this gives you an idea coming from someone who doesn't have kids. Dylan doesn't have kids. And maybe even if you don't know who you would share the legacy video with, you could watch this. Dylan has plenty of people who love him, just like everybody who is here does. And there are people who would love to see this. So I'm going to share that now.
And a couple of big things happened in February. And a couple of big things have happened the last 4 months, really, or this year. So February, I quit IBM, or first of all, before I quit IBM, I bought a house. I decided I was going to stay here in Lansing, Michigan. I don't know where I might have ended up since then or how long I was here, but in 2020, I decided I was going to stay in Lansing, Michigan, and I started looking for a house, and I found this one that I liked a lot. Pretty quickly, actually. It was actually the first house I looked at, and made me kind of weary that I was jumping into it too quick, but I put an offer in, and they accepted it, and now I'm here, and I feel very blessed because a lot of people, or the market is tough. A lot of people are putting in offers and they're getting outbid. I have several friends like who are looking for houses getting outbid. I had a friend like who sold a house and got way more than he asked for it. So I don't know how I underbid on the house that I got, and I feel like I just got an incredible deal. So I definitely think it's a blessing. I was thinking about showing you guys around, but I don't know. I'll just show you. This is the guest bedroom here. And that's it. But I like the house. And you know what? Actually, I want to just take it for a quick walk. This is living room area. The house was fully renovated when I bought it, which was nice. They bought it in really poor condition and they renovated it. So ignore the dirty dishes in the sink. It's not usually like that, promise. But right now there's dirty dishes in the sink. And brand new appliances, brand new shelves, all that kind of stuff. So that was a blessing. Washer and dryer on the first floor. Felt like that was a blessing. I got a basement down here. It's a nice basement. Some of the basements here are not nice at all. It's not finished, but it's clean. Yeah, I got a nice little window right there. My cousin Barrett, maybe you know him, maybe you don't. He actually took that photo right there. He's a photographer for, well, he's independent, but National Geographic has published some of his photos. This is like my little workout area, kind of. It's like a little mud room in the front. And yeah. So anyway, there's an upstairs too. Not gonna go up there, but 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, full baths. And yeah. So I bought a house. I decided I was gonna stay in Lansing. I decided there was enough here to keep me here more than just IBM after I quit, and I decided I would stay. And I actually wrote a devotional. Maybe you'll be able to pull that up or find that somewhere. But I actually wrote a devotional at one of our retreats early this year, just talking about how I felt called to be content in my situation and content with what I had, and how I just God kind of showed me the blessings that were already in my life, and I didn't need to be chasing anything somewhere else. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed my community here that I've been building now that I've been able to invest time into my community.
There we go. Another awesome part of a legacy video. Love the walkthrough that Dylan does of the house there. That is a great example of speaking to that time capsule idea of these videos, saying even whoever is going to watch this video, whoever it is important to watch it, I'm going to just capture where I'm at in my life right now. He captures I mean, his house he literally shows, but also, you know, some of the things going on in his life, some of the big changes, the meaningful things in his life, things that maybe even he watching 10 years from now, like would really like to see again. So again, these are things where I think you can, under any circumstance, create one of these videos. So I'm going to show another segment. Again, another example of somebody who doesn't have kids. This time it's me. This is a segment from my legacy video where I am speaking about myself and my life and things going on and things that I care about. At least at that point, I recorded this video almost 2 years ago, so, or a year and a half ago, I guess. The one big difference you'll notice here is you actually will hear my coach, Shelly, at the beginning of this segment speak to me and ask me a question directly, which is also another way that you can record the videos. If you prefer, sometimes people just want to talk. They don't want to have any questions at all. They have a plan of what they want to say, and that's totally fine. I've recorded those videos and I just sit there quietly the whole time. But in my video, you'll hear Shelly ask me a question. She could edit that out. She can keep it in it so that it sounds a little more conversational. So I'm going to go ahead and share that now.
Well, it's fun hearing you talk about how much you love music, and I wonder if you've gotten to experience that at all in Atlanta area, or maybe not, because things maybe aren't really up and going yet.
Yeah, I would hope that if this wasn't the case, I would have, but I don't know. Not really. We haven't been able to do much. I mean, like I said, it's been a part of my life, my whole, you know, more or less everything that I can remember and been key. But I think as far as Atlanta in particular goes, music scene, I haven't gotten to do much. But a big part of it for me is I think what I learned growing up and what I've learned about myself is I really have a passion for being able to actually create it and be a part of like the creative process of music. I love listening to music and I love going to shows and stuff, but you know, like I learned from hanging out with music people all the time that I wasn't as enamored with the, I guess you would say, a love of like going to see other artists and music as I was with actually being involved in making music. So I did, you know, in high school, I played in the pits for musicals. I played in the jazz band. I was in chorus. So I was really involved in school too. And like I said, really always the thing that I was like, this is the thing that I come back to in music, that is the thing that draws me back into music, was always being able to be a part of like the creative process of it.
Sure.
So like I said, that's, to me, has been nice that I still am doing that. It's just been remote. So like I said, there's a band that I play with, a few guys that actually live here. And I do most of our production on in software online, or
Oh, cool.
software in my computer. So we sort of do like a remote recording and I do most of the production. So it's been really fun though. So I'll go see them soon, probably tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for a long time there, after that band that I was in growing up, I always knew music. I loved music, but it took me a while to sort of get back into being in a band and being a part of that sort of partnership with people.
Sure.
And once I did it again, I was like, yeah, this is really the thing that I love. Like, it's not just music in general. It's this specifically that is,
Sure.
and that's why I did it for so long. But I didn't know. I don't think I knew that for a long time.
And that's just so great that you can still do it with people who you aren't necessarily right by.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it'd still be better if we were close together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do. There you go. More of my face in a different setting, different outfit. That is my legacy video, the legacy video I recorded with my coach, Shelly. Like I said before I showed it, you hear Shelly's voice in my video. You hear it at the beginning and even at the end, where we're sort of, that conversation is really happening and you can hear that. And I am a little bit more, maybe a little different than what Jill does, talking to Shelly and having that conversation. And that's a little bit more because I don't have kids and I am not necessarily making the video for someone specific. So I'm just talking, and I can talk to Shelly and talk to her because it's sort of like I'm having a conversation with anyone. And similar to Dylan, I just detail some things that are going on in my life, some discoveries that I had made at the time. And it's fun for me to watch that even now and think about that time of the things I had learned about myself or things that were going on at the time. Even COVID at the time was totally different. So these are all great ideas of how to make one of these videos. And I'm going to show another way that this is done, this time actually from our CEO, Aaron Hedges. And what's unique here is Aaron did this with his wife, Allison. They made the video together. And they tell the story of how they met. And it's just a really great story in general. But also, I think being able to see how they do this together, sitting together and answering a question together and interacting with each other, that conversation is happening. It's happening between them, really, is another really unique perspective on these videos. So I'm going to share that now.
All right, well, hello from August 2020 here in the basement in Knoxville, Tennessee. And yeah, we're excited to share some of our story, how we met and began our relationship. And it's a story that we really love. And we're looking forward to passing it on to you, whoever you are when you listen to this. So thanks for hearing it.
Awesome. We will go back all the way to February of 2009. And I was teaching. I was a third grade teacher, and I had, I was at a private school, and I had dated a little bit. I had dated more than a little bit. I dated a lot. And I had recently gotten out of a relationship that was just not headed towards marriage. And I was at that point in a serious place where I really wanted to meet someone, but I realized it just wasn't, it felt like it wasn't going to happen. And I just remember praying, like, God, I'm done with this. If you want to put someone in my lap, I'm giving this all to you. I pretty much surrendered my part in trying to meet the right man for me. And I let that go. And it was probably that was probably in the fall of 2008 that I did that. And then February of 2009 is when I got an email from a lady by the name of Deborah Stensrud. And Deborah she married, she was a hairdresser of ours, my family, in Pennsylvania where we grew up. And my mom introduced Deborah to her first cousin. They got married, and I nannied for their children for a couple summers in upstate New York. And Deborah was always trying to set me up, probably because my mom set her up with her husband. I don't know. But she contacted me and said, Allison, I have found the man. And he goes to our church. He's amazing. He's starting this organization called Inheritance of Hope. And I really think that you need to meet him. Why don't you Facebook friend him? And this is kind of when Facebook was just kind of becoming, I had just gotten it, more of a popular thing. And so I friended him just because I was like, I don't know about this. It's long distance, but what do I have to lose? And Aaron was living in Fishkill.
I was living in Cornwall on Hudson, New York,
Okay.
With Derek and Kristen Milligan and their kids, as we were just getting Inheritance of Hope started in the very early going. And I went to church with Deborah and John Stensrud. I really did not know them very well at all. I had been part of a choir for Christmas time music and happened to just sit next to John in the choir. And after one of the choir rehearsals, he invited me to come have a meal with them and their family. And unbeknownst to me, Deborah had invited a young lady to be at that dinner also. to set me up with her.
So she was trying everybody.
So I was not in a relationship or pursuing a relationship. I was really quite content as a single guy, and helping with Inheritance of Hope, and just enjoying that stage of life. But Deborah definitely had other plans. But turns out the girl that she wanted to have at that particular meal couldn't make it for some very odd reasons. It would not have worked out in any case. But Deborah was very persistent and kept trying all different kinds of scenarios. After I did some house sitting for John and Deborah when they took a family trip, she came home from that vacation and knew again, it's not the first time, but again, oh, I know who you need to meet. I know who you're going to marry, which again, she said all the time. It's this amazing girl, and she got on Facebook, which was brand new at the time, really. I started scrolling through to try and find this girl, and I kid you not, you can't make this stuff up, but as she was trying to find that girl on Facebook, she scrolled past an Allison Jarvin and stopped scrolling.
I didn't realize that. You never told me that?
It's like,
maybe this is the one.
I know who you need to meet. And so that was the first way that Deborah, in her very unique way, started to point us toward each other. And she said, "Oh yeah, this Allison, she's great," and went on and on about how great she is. She lives in Minnesota. I have never been to Minnesota at all. Live in New York right now. About to go work at a camp in Missouri all summer where we don't have phone or email. But, none of that was a deterrent. So Deborah pursued it on both sides. So she told Allison, "Oh, you need to meet him. He wants you to friend him on Facebook." And told me, "She's waiting for you to friend her on Facebook." So not exactly true, but it did get us to friend each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we started talking on Facebook or messaging.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Facebook. So that was a totally different style of recording on that video, as you saw with Aaron and Allison sitting there. What I think is cool about that one is, as you see, they have a conversation with each other as they're sitting there, even to the point that like Allison is realizing something that she didn't even know about their own story in that conversation. So again, this is another really unique way to do this. And it doesn't have to be a spouse. You could record this video, or you could do a family legacy video. It's something that we've even talked about at Inheritance of Hope that people could do with us if they want. It would look different, but there's no reason why we couldn't. So you can sit down with someone else and do it and have that conversation, have it look like that. And another great story that I think almost anybody especially children, but almost anyone would want to hear is that story of how you met your spouse or your significant other. And again, it's something totally different. So this next one that I'm going to share is Heidi Benson and her husband, Brian Benson, a segment from their legacy video that they recorded together, like Aaron and Allison. In this one, they share something that I think is sort of, again, shows the time capsule idea, but very specifically in a time that their whole family will probably remember for a very, very long time. And that they really give that snapshot of that time. So I'll go ahead and let you watch that and talk about it a little bit after.
That's so awesome. So the last question I have been asking is, talk a little bit about what we're going through right now, because it's such a different time right now, and I think it's such a good opportunity to paint a little snapshot of today, or this time that you're going through with quarantine and stuff. Talk a little bit about like a family memory or something during that time, and bring that back to them a little bit.
So I think COVID-19 is crazy, and it's a crazy time that it's like hard for me to even compare. There's nothing I can compare it to from my childhood. But one thing I will say that I've so enjoyed seeing is how we've been able to just witness and love our neighbors well. And like, I never realized how much I look forward to DOTC, dinner on the curb. And like, I love watching you kids run around and engage with the neighborhood kids, and just the friendships that are being born there and fostered there. And then even like spiraling into Charlotte, you know, sharing the gospel with Tatum, you know, and that absolutely spurred from the fact that we are doing DOTC during this COVID process. I mean, had we not been going through COVID, we would never have met any of these neighbors or know these neighbors as well as we do now. And I think it's very unique, but it's also been such a blessing.
Yeah, like probably like a few, maybe like a week or two, maybe even a little bit further in, we were walking around the block, and you guys said, because right now in CC in classical conversations, we're like studying the timeline, and you guys have memorized this like timeline song, and you were like, do you think that the coronavirus is going to be a part of our timeline? And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And something like you would eventually memorize, and they would work into it, because it's this like worldwide pandemic. And so we knew that it was like, there would be like lasting implications, you know, like you guys were already homeschooled, so that wasn't like a big deal. Like we just did our normal thing. But being inside all the time was hard. And we, especially where we live, like in Southern California, like it's amazing weather all the time. So we were outside one day talking to our across the street neighbors, Tanya and Travis and baby Noah. And we were like, we should just like, we miss people. Like we should sit right here. We were talking to them from across the street, because this is back when like people didn't even like really venture out of their houses, or if they did, you're supposed to stay so far apart. And so we sat on our side of the street on the curb, and they sat on their side of the street on the curb, and we would just chat back and forth. And the very first night we were like, I think we should do this again tomorrow. But we were kind of nervous to ask, because we were like, what if they didn't love this as much as we did? And we were like, so tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, same time. We're like, okay. So now we did it another night, and then we did it another night. And then legitimately, like we did it for, I think, 2 months straight, every single night. And then we went on vacation for 5 days. And went to go visit Lisa and Charlie. And we were gone for 5 days, and no one came out. So it started out as us and the Vasquezes. And then other neighbors started joining. So then they would come, and then they would sit 6 feet away in their little bubble. And so we would all have all these little pockets of people joining, and anyone who wanted to could stop by. And then sometimes there would be like 40 people like on our front lawn, like in these little pockets. And we started just saying, like, as you know, things kind of lightened up a little bit, everyone just started eating on our lawn. Anyway, so then when we went to go see Charlie and Lisa, we came back and we were like, so did everyone eat, you know, DOTC? And they were like, no one did anything while you were gone. And we were like, oh my word, this is something so special. And like, it exists on our lawn and our lawn only. Like, this is amazing. Like, not because we were so excited that it was about us, but it was so exciting that like,
I think that God was using
using us. Yeah. And it was just so sweet. So, so anytime that we are home, in fact, in 20 minutes, it will be time for dinner on the curb.
DOTC.
And it's our favorite time of the day. We just like look forward to it so much. And COVID has been lots of things. There've been lots of bummers. All the things are closed. Dad was supposed to run a marathon. That's been canceled. Lots of things have been canceled. But dinner's never canceled. Dinner's always happening. And so that has been beautiful, because we have been able to hang out with our like neighbors who have now become friends where they weren't before, and have the most amazing conversations. And you know, Brenna and Kurt and Dylan in Brooklyn, they come over frequently, and Hayden and Logan from next door, they come out all the time, and the Tilsons from down the street, they come out. Miss Maria always stops by with Ziggy to like eat up all of our little scraps, and it has been like an unbelievable time of connection and
fellowship.
community
Yeah,
when you're
fellowship.
supposed to not have any, and you're supposed to be isolated. And so in that case, like what, you know, Satan meant for evil, God meant for good in our like block. I can tell you that it was a big like, take that, Satan, because like we're going to choose joy and we're going to choose connection in a time of isolation. And it's been like
It's been
the
good.
best.
It has been.
So there's another great story, another great example of using the snapshot mentality for these legacy videos, also for using the couple, you know, sitting down with your spouse and recording. I mean, they both had so much to say about the dinner on the curb story. That's something I'm sure all the kiddos are going to remember as they get older. But to hear it from Brian and Heidi at this point in their lives, to really capture that is something special. So that's another great example of something you can do. Just tell a story now. It doesn't have to be something that, you know, it doesn't have to be when you found out you were expecting or what was going on 5 years ago with you. It can be something that's happening right now, like Dylan did in his video, where he's just talking about some things that are going on with him. Now, another big thing, obviously, with these legacy videos, and something that we hear all the time, is the concern about getting emotional while you're creating these videos. And that is a totally valid concern, in the sense that, of course, that happens sometimes. I mean, some of the subject matter that you're talking about is challenging at times. And what I would say, though, is there's nothing wrong with that, in the sense that the reason you're making this video is to be genuine, to be real with these people that you're making it for. So as difficult as that is, and you know, most of us probably think that that's the last time I'd want to be captured on video, those are emotions that some people you so rarely experience or get to see or express to people, even your closest, most loved ones. So to have those moments captured is actually, I think, that much more meaningful. And I can say from my own legacy video that I have, that my mom made actually on our retreat, that it is emotional. And my dad's in the video too, and he's emotional. And there's no part of that that detracted from, if anything, added to the video. I can feel the love in the video through that. So I'm going to show now a portion of Jill's video. Well, Jill Thompson's video, the same one that you saw earlier, but a different part where Jill is talking about when they adopted Gabe and Grace, and specifically a really emotional moment for her in that process. And I think she shows those emotions. And the reason I'm showing this part of this video, it's a very personal moment, but at the same time, I think, and the reason Jill's okay with sharing this is because you can see that it feels right. It feels right that she's sharing that, and it comes across in a beautiful way, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and share that now.
I'll never forget when we got off the plane, February 22nd, 2014, and we came up the escalator in Atlanta Airport. Oh, this gets me every time. And we saw Dad and Liz and Kale after we'd been apart for a while. And I remember feeling like we could do anything as long as we were together. And being apart was really hard. But then we were together again, and we can do anything when we're together. And now, like, we are a family that can do anything together. And so we've got each other's backs, and we'll be there for each other no matter what. So obviously we've been through some things, hard things, and we'll probably be through, we will probably go through many more hard things together. But we are a family, we've got each other's backs, and that is just awesome. So I'm just grateful for each of you. All four of you are such tremendous gifts to me. I am so glad I get to be your mom.
So I don't know if everybody else feels the same. I feel like it's probably true, but that moment in Jill's video, I think, is beautiful, is really the only way to put it. I think it's so genuine, so real, and so raw, really, that it conveys a message that is one that, you know, is in our day-to-day lives, and the busy day-to-day lives is not one that we do often. But it's immortalized in that video for her, which is really something special, I think, for all the kids. Gabe and Grace, I'm sure that would mean the world to them. I'm sure they've heard that story, in fact, many times, as Jill says in the video, that they know it's one that gets her all the time. But even then, it's amazing that that's captured, I think. So now I have one last thing to show as far as showing actual legacy videos, and it's just one more piece of my own legacy video, where I share a little bit about family and what that means to me, and a few other things. And I think it's a great way to wrap up showing some of these videos, because again, it's similar to like Dylan's videos. I don't have kids. I'm not talking directly to kids or talking directly to anyone in particular. You hear Shelly talk again in the video. But that is, I do talk about some things that I think are things that maybe we don't say out loud very often. They're not conversations that you have very often with people, but are important, and I'm glad I have in this video. So this will be the last one that I show, and then I'm going to talk through a last few things, but I'm going to go ahead and show this first.
Well, was there anything else that you wanted to talk over?
I mean, I would hope that a big, you know, like family is a huge part of my life. So, and I think one thing that beyond, you know, the thing that I just talked about with building something, of course, there's going to be a family in that. And that's, I think, going to be something that everything that I just explained, you could almost apply it to a family. So that'll be a part of that. And I'm super, super glad that I lived with parents and siblings and extended family that made me feel like that was something that I wanted. Because it always surprises me when I meet people who, I think most people that I know want a family, want to have kids and have a family. But for me, it's really, especially having lost my mom, I think that that's something that I'm really looking forward to, because I want to be able to share a lot of the stuff that I learned from her, because I feel like I'm a part of her legacy, and my dad too. I mean, my dad's around, but him too. And not only that, their parents' legacy. So for me, being able to like continue that on is really big, and I am excited to do that. And I know there's so many aspects of that, and so many things that I still have to figure out as that happens, but it's exciting to me that that is going to be a part of my life, because I know that I'm going to make that a part of my life, because I appreciate so much everything that I was given and raised with, and I want to pass it on. So that's something I would just want to say, is that I am so thankful that I had a family and parents who gave me a desire, who gave me enough that I think it's worth passing on.
Mm-hmm.
It's always weird to watch yourself talk in another recording as you're doing something. But that's it. I mean, that for me, talking about family and even my own family or future family is sort of a big reason why I'm so passionate about these legacy videos. I have one for my mom. It is a wonderful, wonderful gift. It doesn't encapsulate who she was. It's not everything to me, but it is such a wonderful gift that she took the time. And it wasn't a big time commitment. She put aside maybe an hour on our legacy retreat to go and do that. So it wasn't a big time commitment. Of course, it was hard for her. It was really hard for her, I think, emotionally to do it, but she did it and took that time, did it, took advantage of the opportunity. And now I have that, and that's not going to change. And I love that video. And I know my sisters have too. So we can all do this. And again, like I said at the beginning, everyone should do this. It's hard. There are various challenges to doing it, but at least the ones we do at Inheritance of Hope, the goal is to remove as many barriers as you feel like there are. The coaches, the coaching team is amazing. They're extremely well equipped and can work through anything you're thinking is a barrier to doing this. So again, we're going to share the form where you can sign up, where you can register to do a legacy video. I'd love for you to do that. You can do it anytime. We can sign up, like I said, then like I said before, the coach then will reach out to you and you'll set up a time and you'll figure it out from there. So we'll share that again. I also wanted to let you know really quick. So I have here, once those videos are recorded, what happens is the coach takes time to edit the video, clean it up a little bit, especially if you have specific requests. And then once that's done, they create a password protected link within our files that is totally only accessible with that password. And then we have these special cards that we share via mail. So we'll put however many cards you would like of these into an envelope, and we put the link and the password on these cards, and just with a sticker. So it's not even, we don't even handwrite it on there. And then on the back, there's a note that you can write on, and you can share with anybody that you like. And you can just put them in your closet too, and hold on to them for another day. But they're there. It's just another way we try and make the process as easy as possible for you to share this video or your legacy video when you would want to do that. Any other questions people might have, I'm always available to talk about legacy videos. Spencer at inheritanceofhope.org. You can literally just shoot me an email if you're wondering stuff. But also just register to do a video, and then you can talk through some questions with coaches too. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this session today. And I'll say thank you to these staff members who made their videos available for this session to be possible. I think, this session will be a recording after this weekend. And I do think that there's something amazing about being able to take these finished legacy video products and give an idea and show people, like, this is really what it looks like. These are some ideas. So thank you to those people. And thank you for being here again today. I'm looking forward to our closing celebration. That's all that we have left after these sessions are over. So we'll get to hear from Aaron, who we saw in this video, I know for sure, and then a few other exciting guests. So I'll be there, and I'm excited. And thank you again for being here today.